All right, everyone, welcome to the second day. And we are still working on getting you to pass the CNA exam. And so just like the first day, we laid a foundation with, let me just stop these notifications. Okay, so what we're going to do today is we're going to deal with concept-based learning. Now, I don't want you to let that go over your head or make it more than what it is. I'm going to walk you through it, and we discuss it, and you have templates for it in one of your ebooks, which is the nursing assistant notebook. It's more like a workbook. It's way more than a notebook. So you could open that link and review it as well. But the reason I'm doing this before we get into the next section, where it's a review, a clear, straight to the point, concise review of CNA topics, this is going to lay the foundation, all right? So before we talk about which concepts, let's talk about what a concept is and why it's important and why it's easier for you to study this way, okay? So depending on how you've been studying, making flashcards, reading things over and over again, you need to read once, but actually you need to make your own concepts so you could see how one thing relates to another. And I'm going to show you visually. We're going to open the whiteboard and you're going to be able to see this. It's going to be a game changer. This is how you're to review the information so you can just get key pieces on how they relate and be able, remember your concepts and topics form the umbrella for you to apply logic when you're answering the multiple choice questions that we learned on the first part. So let me share my screen here. Where would it be? Okay. Let me scroll back up. This is this ebook that you have, Nursing Assistant Notebook, okay? Copyright information here. Let me get my little flashlight going. And we're gonna talk about the different things more so. And so how I teach nursing assistant is the nurse and CNA because it's a certified nursing assistant. So that means two roles are two parts of the puzzle piece. And you have the concepts here. These are the concepts that I find to be most important. Doesn't mean that they're the only concepts. You have safety, infection control, communication, legal, health promotion, developmental stages. And you see the nurse and CNA are going on a journey and the patient is always the center. Now, it's very important to understand the patient being the centered here: physical, psychosocial, patient, mental. The patient has three components: your mental, your physical, your psychosocial, when you're thinking of the patient. So I kind of just said nursing assistants join the nurse in the quest to assist, achieve, and support a patient's optimal level of health. And we're going to talk about that some more, but every patient has their own optimal level. Like if I have a knee amputation, missing a leg, my optimal level is not that I run marathons, but my optimal level may be that I put my prosthetic on myself and I'm able to go for a nice walk. So everyone has optimal means their highest peak level that they could achieve, and you're there to help them achieve that. So we did talk about multiple choice questions. So that's in this notebook as well, and this ebook. And now, before I get into a concept, I want to point out some key note pages. Now, I didn't randomly put these here by accident. You see Cornell notes. And as you pursue CNA and future degrees, there are ways to take notes that help you organize. Like when you sit in lecture, you read a book, you write the subject, you write what topic they're talking about. And as questions come to your mind, you write the questions here. You write quick sentences to summarize and key points, right? So it's not about rewriting the chapter. And then this is like narrative description, overall description of what you're learning, hearing, or reading. So Cornell Notes, I did not invent this, is a great structured note page to help a student be successful. So you have those all throughout. And so I want to get to concepts here. And you have some things residence rights, Cornell notes, you have blank notes. Okay, let's get into what a concept map is before we talk about the concepts, okay? And then we're going to start to do concept maps for the 6 most important concepts. And then I'm going to start them out. And actually what you should do prior to getting to the next recording as homework for yourself, you take those 6 and remember the domino wall. You keep doing concept maps about those 6 topics and strategizing and breaking them down so that when you get to the next recording and I'm doing a review, you could kind of fit them in, okay? And we'll illustrate that further. So what is a concept map? It's a diagram or tool used to visually represent relationships between ideas and concepts. Now, this is being used a lot in nursing school and CNA school, not that the health domain created it. A lot of people in business, presentations would use concept maps, all right? So for example, here, we could take the good old fashioned infection control, and then you see it goes down to hand washing. So basically you could see is what you think of when you think of infection control. So you don't need any text, you just draw it here and your brain, you could go hand washing, you can go masks. I could have went like this, infection control. I could have went PPE, right? Personal protective equipment. And then under PPE, I could have said masks, all right? Gloves. You see what I mean? So it's a way of kind of breaking down the wall, domino wall. Like if it's this, remember your if then. If I'm talking about infection control, then I have to talk about PPE. If I'm talking about PPE, then I have to talk about masks and gloves. And you could see that is easier and better to frame in your mind than kind of rewriting notes or rewriting lectures or rewriting anything. So if this is your first time seeing of a concept map, I hope you find it extremely helpful because it is. And even in teaching in nursing school, we have whole curriculum in teaching conceptually, so people get the big ideas and see how they relate to smaller ideas. And believe it or not, it's going to help you answer the test questions. So that is what is in this notebook, some of it. Of course, I'm not showing you, there's more Cornell notes, and then I get into blank concept map, Cornell notes, blank concept map, so you could fill it out because it's a notebook. And then before I move on, actually, there's some skills beginning. The concept map, this is designed to show you, but it doesn't have to be 3 circles only, okay? And I have regular line note pages for you to just write your free flow thoughts. And there's more and more in this notebook, but we'll talk about it as the days progress. So let me go back to my whiteboard here. Let's do a new whiteboard. So the concepts, the 6, what I believe are the 6 most important concepts, not in any particular order, or actually, let me put safety first. I'll put safety. I'll try my best to prioritize them here. And so I've gotten feedback that the CNA exam has a lot of fall prevention questions, right? Because they're always going to make sure you can keep someone safe. So legal ethics, legal/ethics. And we're going to do beginning concept maps for each one of these. And then I want you to continue them free flow. Don't even go to the book. I think you continue the concept map or do your own for each one of these and see how far your brain goes. Does that make sense? Like the domino walls, if then, keep going with the concept map. And if you get to a concept and you find that you can only go 1 or 2 steps down, congratulations, don't be hard on yourself. You've just identified your own areas of weakness. So that's another strategy while you are learning. For example, even as a student, and I advise my students, people get into study groups. I don't get into study groups until I've completely studied. So the study group now is just an opportunity for me to teach, because I have to show myself what I know. So I have to find my own knowledge deficits. before I could even talk it over with somebody else. So these are the 6 concepts. Okay, so we have safety, infection, legal ethics, communication, developmental stages, health promotion. These to me, we are writing a straight to the point book. And if you'd like to be added on our waiting list, you could send us an email for when it's done. And so these are the 6, we're building everything under these 6 concepts because they cover the role of the nursing assistant. Okay. All right. Just writing myself a note. So let's get to these concepts here. Let's get our pen to draw. All right. And so the concept here, let's do safety. Right, so if you were doing a concept map, all you would need is a notebook. My handwriting's not the best anyway. And then I'll also with this pen, it's not helping. So under safety, you have patient safety, right? Patients is always the center of your care. So patient or resident. You have environmental, which leads to patient safety as well, but you could classify them as something else. Environmental, like if blood spilt on the floor, you have your OSHA standards and things like that. And then you have your own worker safety, right? So we've now had the concept of safety and we've broken them down. These could be 3 topics or sub-concepts, right? You see the umbrella. So now under worker safety, we can say body mechanics, right? Because they're certainly going to ask you about body mechanics in test questions and when you do your clinical skills. So body mechanics. Okay, worker safety, we can certainly talk about infection control. It's hard to write with the pen, so you guys have your notebook out. I'm just going to write infection C. You see how we're breaking it down? And then guess what? If I wanted to break it down further, infection control, I could start talking about PPE. So you see, I went from safety, worker safety, infection control, PPE. I'm bringing this all the way down. And then I could talk about masks, gloves, you know, transmission, all of that. Under body mechanics, if I wanted to go down further, although body mechanics is your back, right? Back health. Under body mechanics, guess what? It can be the patient body mechanics. And actually, if we erase this back here, I think what comes above this, and this is how a concept map works, and it's so brilliant. Under body mechanics, you have, I'm just going to put P for patient, body mechanics and worker body mechanics. So you see, it's safety, worker safety. Under body mechanics, patient and worker. So under worker, I could put your back, you see, and then the patient has their own body mechanics. This is clinical skills. It's helpful. What we're going to show you, if you watch my YouTube videos at Nurse Stephanie Victoria, I talk about how you hold a patient and move a patient. All right. So body mechanics, so you don't hurt a patient. And then under here, you could have prevent injuries as a topic. So you see, I'm following that all the way down. Okay, safety, under patient safety, you could put falls under patient safety, which is a huge topic on the CNA exam. All right, so you should definitely review your falls. Under patient safety, you can put, under environmental safety, you can put falls for workers. So that's why when you go into a restaurant and the floor is wet, they put a sign. You could put falls for workers, W. Environmental safety, you can put the Sharps needle box, right? So Sharps box, that's all environmental safety. You learn how to keep yourself safe. Patient falls, you could put Hoyer lift. It's a big thing with patient safety. Hoyer lift. okay? And safety has a lot of umbrellas because you could put feeding. There's a safe way to feed somebody, meaning they have to be sitting up, head of bed. I'm gonna put HOB, head of bed up. You see, so under this safety umbrella, under this patient safety umbrella, pretty much all of your skills, we teach you how to do it in a safe way. So you could have plenty of umbrellas, links going under patient safety. All right. So that is just a quick brain flow. And so now you could see if you get to safety, or now when you go back, what you should do, I want to be very clear. Take all 6 of these concepts and do a conceptual map. This is what it's called, a conceptual map all throughout, and see how far you get. Then you're gonna, when we review, you're gonna see what we reviewed and some things that you missed, and also when you review your book. And so what you've done is identified your weaknesses, like, hey, I don't know a lot about environmental safety or worker safety or things like that, okay? So let's do basically what we're gonna do, a quick one. I'm gonna start you off. Let's do infection. So that was safety. Let's do infection. And what I want to show you here, which is an important point, is that under this infection, I'll get to PPE as well. And remember, I got to it under safety, but I was coming at it from a different angle. So that point right there lets you know that I can flip as a person writing a question. I could take the same PPE topic, and if I ask it to you from a safety angle, you might get it wrong. But if I ask it to you from an infection control angle, you might get it right. And I want that to sit and marinate in your brain for a little bit, because you don't know something until you could flip and turn it every which way. I hope that makes sense. So you're gonna go infection control, because this is the concept of infection, but the infection control is its own thing. So infection control, right? And then under that, you could put PPEs, right? Okay, so another thing under infection. So one thing I didn't say on the safety, when you say what's your top big concept, like the 6 concepts, right? I want you to go to your book and define what is meant by infection. So you want to define the concept itself, okay, at the top. And so that serves as a framework so you could see everything that's underneath it. So here, infection, you could say the cycle of infection or chain of infection. And go on my YouTube video. I have a cycle of infection video, a chain of infection, showing you how that works. So under there, you have portal of exit. They're gonna always ask you these questions. Portal, it won't let me do the dot. Portal of entry, right? You have mode of transmission. I'm just gonna put transmission. I'm gonna put trans for transmission. You have susceptible hosts. You see, so all of these, you could keep going down. So infection control can take you to PPE, infection cycle, all right? Now, all under infection, prevent infection control, you can have all of your skills too, because just like safety is incorporated in all of your skills, infection control is incorporated in all of your skills. So I'll let you keep working with that one. And so now the next one we can do is communication. So to start you off here, hold on. Communication. You can do actually communication between you and your patient, right? Because that's a certain type of communication. You could do communication between you and your nurse, right? Because the role is a nursing assistant. You could do communication, you could do communication with health team members, other team members, right? Okay, now when you do that, let's take the communication under nurse. You have your verbal, right? And then you have your documentation. So don't forget your documentation, right? Documentation. Okay. And so documentation, you have what you observe and you have what you recorded, right? Recorded, observe, if you want to say that. Verbal, you have handoff or pass off. You see what I mean? So you could just keep going, and communication's a big one. Patience, you have open-ended questions, right? Open-ended and close-ended questions. So do you see how you could keep going? I'm gonna put close-ended questions. And so you could definitely pause this video and keep coming back. To the healthcare team member, you have documentation again. What stays in the documentation? So this is a good synopsis about communication, right? Your own, you could say communication with other CNAs, your own interpersonal communication. Interpersonal meaning you have to be respectful and things like that. So communication is definitely ones that have a lot of umbrellas that you could keep going with. So I hope this starts you off. And I hope you could see that you are now organizing your thoughts, because this is a refresher course. You've studied, you have the books. And so just keep doing that circle. You don't have to write sentences or things like that. And that's what makes the concept map method so powerful, because you are able to really just get to the core of the matter. So let's do a couple more. Let's do, what did we do? Let's do legal and ethics. So under legal/ethics, again, you're going to define that. And every book has a chapter on it. And then I get right to the patient bill of rights. In the notebooks on one of the pages, I talk about the 10 bill of rights. I listed there for you. So, and then under that, you could probably put all 10. You see what I mean? And keep going down and breaking it down. So this one should be huge. This arm right here, under ethics, so that's legal and it's ethical too, Bill of Rights. But under ethics, you have your scope of practice, meaning what you are allowed to do, scope of practice, or you could put job description, right? But I like to have that separate. Scope of practice says what CNA, so we never taught you how to pass out meds, right? Because it's not in your scope of practice to pass out meds. So then your scope of practice, you could put hygiene, you could put all the things that you are, which is your role as a nursing assistant, falls under ethics here, because it means that you're gonna abide by your scope of practice, okay? So definitely under legal ethics, once you define it, your Bill of Rights, and keep going in scope of practice, that'll give you a big umbrella under legal and ethics, okay? And then let's do, we're almost there, guys. Let's do health promotion. And so I hope you have your notebook out. And don't just copy mine, just watch these and take notes, but then get a fresh piece of paper and start doing your own concept maps. Get 6 sheets of paper, put the first title like infection communication, all the 6 that I've used at the top. Probably hold the paper horizontal and plug away doing your concept maps. So when you define it, health promotion is all the tasks that you do to promote health. And so the CNA skills, right? All your skills fall under promotion. Taking vitals, all your CNA skills. So taking vital signs, you are promoting health, bathing. So instead, if you wanted to do a bigger umbrella for your skills, so when I say CNA skills, like say we put health promotion here, let me erase this so we can go back and make it a bit clearer. How you could look at that, because health promotion is so broad. When you take health promotion, right? Under health promotion, I would put, before I would get to CNA skills. Skills, right? And under skills, what I would put is that all the skills that pertain to hygiene. Do you see how you're breaking it down? So if you started health promotion and you see that you've jumped a step, that means you need a subtopic before that. Under hygiene, all the skills under nutrition, which would be the feeding. All right. So under hygiene would be bathing, would be mouth care. Do you see what I mean? Okay. So you have nutrition, you have ambulation, helps them transferring the patient. So ambulation, they either, or you could put patient transfer. So transfer, and then under transfer, they either walk or they're positioned to a wheelchair, your wheelchair skill. So this health promotion can go on and on and on and on. So this is one where you should definitely have a lot. All of them can keep going because that's how vast it is. So we did legal, ethics, communication, infection, health promotion, safety, and then I have developmental stages. And so although they don't ask you tons of questions, you do have childhood, you do have, you know, adolescence, you have adult, and you have the older adult, right? And so a lot of your test questions will fall under the older adult because we start talking about dementia. And so you want to talk about changes that happen with ages, dementia, Alzheimer's, right? And then so under dementia, you could say forgetfulness, like you could just keep going down with developmental stages. And so I would focus here in the older adult. There was something I wanted to do with health promotion here. Although now that I'm saying it, it's not just 6, you could have another, what did I do? Let me close the whiteboard and open it again. I think I just made my screen a little. You can have the 6, another one too would be rehab and restoration. Rehabilitation, I mean. Rehabilitation. Okay. And so with the rehabilitation on its own thing here, rehabilitation, okay, under here you could have your range of motion. These are things you're doing to like help a person walk again or something to that manner. All right. So, and then you could have all the equipment, like the wheelchair is part of rehabilitation, the walker, those occupational utensils you use when somebody has a stroke and you have to grip it. So I hope that this number 2 here. So again, the first lesson you learned about multiple choice. Now you're learning about concept maps. So your homework is to do the concept maps. Think as much as you can, do it as extensively as you can for these 7 concepts. I've added another one. You're going to start by defining them. You're going to define each, go back to your book, and then you're going to do your concept map. So again, it's safety, infection, legal, communication, developmental stages, health promotion, and rehabilitation. If you could do healthy concept maps on these 7, I have no doubt that you will do well on the CNA exam. As I just showed you a little snippet, how they pretty much cover a lot of topics. So make sure you do that before watching the 3rd video, where we're going to review topics and get more extensive with them. But they're going to be like kind of bulleted points because again, this is not the course, it's just kind of refresher. And then we're going to talk about lab skills in depth, and then we're going to talk about more practice exams. So cheers to the progress you've made so far, and just continue on with me. All right, take care.